Hey everyone, so I am making the Dutch oven no knead bread, which I'm doing this video by popular demand because I posted a few photos of the bread and a bunch of people asked me about it. So I'm just going to show you how I make it. It's super easy. All it is I've already got 2 cups of flour in here and I'm going to add a third, so it's 3 cups of just plain white flour. And then it is 2 teaspoons, or a teaspoon and a half, I should say, of salt. So I don't actually tend to measure it. I just kind of do it, as my mom would say, by gosh and by golly. And so I've got my salt in there. And then it is 2 teaspoons of yeast. So this is not the sourdough that everybody was doing a few months back. This is a yeast-based bread, but you don't have to knead it. So that's why it's popular. So I'm going to do my 2 teaspoons here of the yeast. And then at this point, you can add something else in if you want to flavor it. Now this bread is awesome just like that. It tastes really good and it's lovely and warm and fresh when it comes out and crispy on the outside or that kind of crusty outside. But if you wanted to do something fun with it, you could add summerberry to give it a little bit of a sweet, fruity flavor. I've also pulled out the smoky roast tomato. The everything bagel I have done in here already, and it is fantastic. It gives a really nice flavor. Our cheddar chives and bacon would be really good in there. This is vegan bacon made with pinto beans, but it does have cheddar in it, so it's not a vegan product as such, but that would give it some great flavor. I've heard rave reviews about the herb and garlic going in there. And our 3 onion would be great in there. And I've also heard about people using the nacho cheese, so I can imagine that would be really good in there too. I'm actually going to just keep mine pretty simple today because the kids are going to have it and they're pretty picky about how they like their bread. So basically I've got those ingredients in there. I'm just going to mix them around so they're kind of evenly distributed. And then I'm going to add 1.5 cups of quite warm water. And it's going to form a dough that kind of doesn't feel like it should be, like it doesn't feel quite right, but I promise you it works. So that is 1.5 cups, and I should have a better mixing spoon, but I'm just going to do it with this. So you mix that in, and you can see like it feels like there's not enough. It gets kind of stringy, but it is actually, this is actually how it's supposed to look. So once all the dryness is dampened at least and has that kind of stringy sort of looking texture, you're good. And then all you do is cover it up for a minimum of 12 hours, and apparently it can be left up to 18. I find if I leave it over 12 hours, it gets a bit yeasty tasting when it's baked, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you don't like that, don't go more than 12 hours. So I just leave it covered, and then I'll show you guys how it looks when it's ready to bake. So there we go. That's how we're going to leave it, and we're going to see it baked up in the next part of the video. All right, there you go. Okay, everyone, so this is the dough after it's risen. And I don't think I showed you a really good look at it last night, but it was really stringy to start with. Like, you would not believe that it would show up like this in the morning. So I'm pretty excited. It's looking good. I'm going to first let you know that I have the oven on 450 degrees, and I have put a Dutch oven in there that's been in there for about half an hour to heat up. So that's the first thing you need to do, is you need to take your Dutch oven and heat it up to 450 degrees. And be very careful when you take it out. And then you are simply going to dust off, and you're not going to knead the dough. You're just going to put a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick, and you are going to just scoop it together and then put it on a piece of parchment paper and put it in there. So I'm going to pause this briefly while I get some of that set up for you. Okay, so videos are all about prepping. Clearly I was not well prepped here, but that's okay. So we can pause and do that. So here I'm just going to literally let this dough drop. And it does come out really slowly because it gets really stuck in there. I'm going to let it drop on. I'm going to actually pull it a little bit because it's pretty slow. And as it comes out, there's a few more lumps of it in here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up towards the center, and I think this is difficult to see, but I'm literally just going to flip it over so it's kind of floured up on each side and make it into a more or less circular shape like this. Okay, so here we go. Some more or less a circle. I've got flour so it's not sticking everywhere. I'm going to plop it onto parchment paper here. And very carefully, I'm going to remove the lid to this Dutch oven. So it has to be done, obviously, with a oven mitt, a good one. It goes on the parchment paper right in, lid on, back into my preheated Dutch oven for 30 minutes, covered. So it essentially steams the bread, and that's part of the cooking process. After 30 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off and let it kind of just brown the top for anywhere. Like, I find 10 minutes is plenty, but you can do it longer if you need to. And that's it. So I will show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven in about 30 minutes. Okay, so I have finished baking the bread, and so I got a little interrupted. The bread is just done. So it was in the oven for 30 minutes, covered. At 30 minutes, I took the lid off very carefully. It's in 450 degrees. Do not make the mistake of not using proper gear to take it off. And I'm going to take the bread out now to show you what it looks like after it's had a little chance to brown on the top. So there it is in the bottom of the Dutch oven. So all I do at this point is carefully take it out of here so that it can cool off and put it on a cooling rack. You don't want to try and cut it when it's this hot. And there we go. So let me just show you this. One sec, babe. So here it is. All done and ready to cool and bake. And I just have to show you guys, if you don't have this rack, it's awesome. This is it folds up. There's stuff on it right now. It can be a cooling rack. It can be a drying rack. It can be a place to wash veggies. It's awesome. It's called the roll-up rack. So I wanted to make sure I showed you that as well. So this is all I do. This stays on my sink all the time. And I just took the lid to cool there. And now the bread will cool there. And it is super amazingly delicious bread. So I'm super excited to have it nice and warm with some butter. And then we're probably going to make some lentil soup later to eat it with. All right, everyone, that's how we do it. I am going to do, I'm going to try a gluten-free one soon. So I will video that and let you know how it goes. All right, everyone, take care.